Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. When a Hungarian financier called George Soros shorted the English pound 30 years ago, back in 1992, the British government fought back. It did everything it could to preserve the value of its national currency. British officials raised interest rates all the way to 15%. The Bank of England then sold $40 billion of foreign currency reserves in a desperate effort to prop up the pound. In the end, of course, it didn't work. The Bank of England collapsed. Total cost to the population of Great Britain? Well, that's hard to measure, but it was at least £3 billion. This at a time when a pound was worth nearly $2.50. It's now at $1.20, which tells you a lot. So the UK got poorer, but not George Soros. His fund made off with $1 billion in profit, $1 billion, for creating nothing, only destroying things. In the years since, Soros has become richer still, billions and billions of dollars richer. George Soros has become so rich that at this point, Western governments rarely fight back when he interferes in their most basic domestic affairs, the most important domestic affairs. In 2015, for example, Soros decided that Europe had to resettle millions of penniless refugees from Africa and the Middle East. Relatively few Europeans wanted this to happen at all, but George Soros wanted it. So we spent more than $500 million pushing NGOs and European governments to accept what turned out to be a massive wave of human migration. So what happened next? What's the second part of the story? Well, there was a humanitarian crisis. That crisis is still going on. Life in Europe got much worse. Have you been to Paris lately? You should visit. Violent crime particularly skyrocketed. And yet, European politicians, many of them funded by Soros, refused to acknowledge it. Look away, they said. This isn't happening. You're crazy or a criminal for noticing. So for the past several years, something not so different has been happening in our country. George Soros has decided to destroy the American justice system. And he's doing it with prosecutors. By this point, fully 1 in 5 Americans, that's more than 70 million people, now live in a jurisdiction overseen by a Soros-backed prosecutor. Soros DAs run cities like New York, Chicago, St. Louis, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, our biggest cities. They also run places like Travis County, Texas, and Hinds County, Mississippi, and Loudoun County, Virginia, Chatham County, Georgia. All of them have Soros-backed prosecutors. Soros' influence comes in the form of campaign financing. The money comes from Soros' open society foundations and affiliated political action committees and shell companies. A recent analysis by the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund found that in total, more than 75 Soros-backed prosecutors currently hold office in the United States. Together,